Hello, wonderful afternoon, people. Happy to be back on here. Today, we are going to be discussing a very important topic. So join in, people. Join in. We are going to be spilling the tea. Some story went viral over the weekend. And of course, my interest in the story has to do with U.S. immigration law and how we can learn lessons out of it and what to do, what not to do, and all of that. Just basically talking about violating, more specifically, violating the terms of your visa or your status or of your immigration status. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how, what is a violation and how does it play out and the consequences, with the story of Barbara Coleman-Blackwell in focus. May her soul rest in peace. Okay, so let me start. Well, welcome, guys. If you join in later, you're very welcome to this live video. So here's how it all started. I received, the message online from my sister, who shared the story with me first. She was the first person that shared the story with me. And essentially, it was on Twitter. That's where she saw the story and shared the link. So we'll do a summary of the story as it was shared on Twitter, and then we'll look at the case law, and then we can talk about the specific type of visa that U.S.A came into the U.S. With, and what happened after there. If we're not able to finish in today's video, of course, we'll continue tomorrow. So basically, here's, this is called out of the, the obituary. Welcome. Drop me a comment, guys. Drop me a comment. So the ordeal: when Barbara gave birth to her second child, her parents decided to look for someone to assist her in taking care of her young children. So essentially, this lady was here. She was an accountant here in the United States, and her mother was a minister in Ghana. And so she gave birth to her second born, and she needed help. I know what the hassle is like, guys. I have 2 toddlers of my own, and in addition to running my law firm, I have no help with them. I have to bath them, clean, just feed them, do everything. These are 2 little humans who rely on you for everything. If they want to pee, they tell you. If they want to eat, they tell you. So you're not only taking care of yourself, you're taking care of 2 extra humans, plus your home and your husband and everything else. So it can get very overwhelming as a professional. So essentially, this was what happened. The lady Barbara needed help here in the US, according to the obituary, and there was somebody that lived with them at the time, a cousin, yes, her mother's cousin, who lived with the family, Barbara's parents back home in Ghana. And so they Amma, who was a cousin, overheard the parents say Barbara needed help here in the US. And of course, she volunteered to come. Who doesn't want to come to the US? I've had many people who tell me, oh, let me come. I'll come and be a nanny. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So she volunteered to come and help in the US, and that's how everything began. So let's talk about, from the real case, let's go into the real case. Let's start with the real case. Here are the facts as they were told in court, and then we'll pick out some things to discuss out of it. Okay. So, of course, the defendants in the case, United States versus Blackwell, Barbara Coleman-Blackwell and her husband, Kenneth Blackwell, natives of Ghana, they were the defendants in the case, and they were charged with conspiring to smuggle U.S.A from Ghana to the U.S. to work as an unpaid domestic servant. So when I read the story initially on Twitter, my first instinct was, this sounds like they probably got her in a B2 visa. And then when she came, she was doing the domestic work. But when I read the case law, it's, everything indicates that U.S.A probably most likely came in on an A3 visa, not a B2 visa. So we'll go into that very shortly. Let me see. Okay, let me pick out the part of it. I don't want to bore you guys to death, but essentially, let me just I feel like I still have to give a summary of everything. So this cousin decided to volunteer to come to America to help Barbara with her children. And so they got a visa for her and she came. And, she worked for a while with Barbara. And then a few days for her visa to expire, she ran away and said that she was being, she had been trafficked and she had been smuggled from Ghana and coerced into working and, forced into servitude by Barbara and Ken. So that's it. And so when they went, because Grace Coleman, okay, let's start with the characters. The first person is Grace Coleman, who was a minister of state. And her child, Barbara Coleman, is the one who lived here who needs help. And when we talk about an A3 visa, let's talk about the A3 visa. What is an A3 visa? The reason this would be an A3 visa is that Grace Coleman was, a government employee. She was appointed by the government, and I think she was an MP as well. So there are so many types of visas, almost all the letters, okay? And the first type of visa, the first type of visa in relation to this is known as the A1 visa or the A2 visa. And the A1 or the A2 visa is usually for diplomats and other foreign government officials who are traveling to the U.S. to engage solely in official duties or activities on behalf of their nation, of their national government. They must obtain A1 or A2 visas prior to entering the United States. Okay, so that's the purpose of the visa. And normally, immediate family members of diplomats and government officials also receive the A1 and the A2 visas. Personal employees, attendants, or domestic workers for diplomats and government officials. So if you are a government official and you have a domestic worker or an attendant or a personal employee, those people are entitled to receive A3 visas, okay, once they apply for these type of visas. So that's what makes me know that I think that she was most likely given an A3 visa. She came in on an A3 visa. So let's pick the portion of the text here from the case law. Part of the things Grace Coleman was charged with was the fact that she had, there had been, fraudulent misrepresentation and there had been fraudulent misrepresentation at the Department of State. Of course, I mean, when we talk about the Department of State, that's the embassy back home in Ghana. Once you're going to apply for a visa, everything that you say will be, of course, recorded, and then it can be used against you. Okay, so right here, let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to pull it right here. Okay, so guys, drop me your comments. Let me see where you're watching from. And then it's interesting. Now that I'm actually... Okay, perfect. I found it. It's right here in the fact summary. So let's pick it. It says Grace Coleman-Blackwell's mother, former Deputy Minister of Finance, who was at the time the Member of Parliament for Ifiduase Asokore in the Ashanti region, brought the woman into the United States. The woman they're talking about, Ama Usua Margaret, under false pretenses, claiming that the victim was her staff assistant and needed to accompany her to meetings at the State Department. Okay, so that right here shows me that that was most probably an A3 visa and not a B2 visa like I had earlier intimated. Of course, we didn't have all the details. So, by reason of the fact that Grace had stipulated in her application at the embassy that, oh, that's my staff assistant and I need her to actually accompany me to meetings in the U.S. at the State Department, then most likely the U.S. Embassy will issue Amawuswa with an A3 visa, which I discussed with you guys that is the type of visa for government officials, domestic workers and employees and assistants of government officials. And when you go into the FAM, the Foreign Affairs Manual, there's the rules. So every visa type, of course, has its confines and limitations. There are things you can do with visas. There are certain things you cannot do with certain types of visas. Okay, So, for example, if you come in on an F1 visa, you have to be careful about unauthorized employment, because the purpose of an F1 visa is to go to school. So you need to be careful the way you utilize these types of visas. So I recently consulted with a client who came in on an F1 visa, and immediately she came in, she started working, never stepped in school. She's completely violated the terms of her visa. Her visa actually expires in about 2 years or whatever, but the visa is currently null and void. It's been revoked because you have to report to your school within 30 days of coming. And if you don't, your school reports to U.S.A, and so they have, or an ICE. So they have the whole drill that you never stepped into the school. So your visa has become immediately revoked. Okay, so that's an example of violating the terms of your visa. So with an A3 visa, there are confines of the visa. So looking at the FAM 9 FAM 402.39B1, they'll tell you the eligibility requirements are stipulated on what an A3 visa is. So normally, for you to have an A3 visa, which is very likely what Ama Uswa had, the applicant must have a written contract with a current or prospective employer that meets the specific requirements in 9 FAM 402. The applicant must understand the terms of the contract, and the contract must be scanned into the NIV application record, non-immigrant visa application record. So it's a non-immigrant visa, first of all, meaning you are not going to come live here forever. It's just temporary, and you're here to assist your employer to carry out her governmental duties. Okay, that's the A3. The next thing is that the applicant will receive the minimum wage and will be provided working conditions that are in accordance with U.S. labor laws. Okay, so again, these are all the confines of the A3 visa, and then the applicant must overcome her burden of proof in demonstrating to you that he will perform a specific job as described in the contract and can't perform such work. Okay, and then you have to overcome the presumptions of ineligibility. Long story short, let's not go through everything, but what Grace Coleman did was to actually stipulate that this person is coming to work with me as a government employee, and she's going to be working within the confines of the law. Like, you have to be undertaking specific governmental functions that are related to your role as a person designated to work for the government. So you cannot come and then you go on a frolic of your own and say, oh, now you're touring the country or whatever. You need to be very careful of that, because the visa has very specific requirements and demands that you need to follow to the letter. So let's look back at the case. You can tell that during the time they were applying for the visa, Madam Grace Coleman most probably took evidence that, oh, this is the what I'm going to be doing. These are the meetings I'm going to be having with the State Department, and use that as a conduit to bring Ama Uswa to work outside the scope of the A3 visa. And that's where her problems began, because you see, the thing is that the reason why the U.S. government had ammunition against Grace Coleman was, first of all, they have all the documents, the immigration history, what you apply for, what you say, how you say it, whatever. They have all the records when you, of course, apply for the visa. And so what happens is that when you come here and you divert, or you begin to do things that are not within the confines of the visa, you've already flouted, or you've already violated the terms of your immigration status. And so whatever the Ama Uswa girl was saying, they now had reason to believe her, because first of all, that's why the case law stated that she came, Grace Coleman, what was the specific term? She came, under false. She brought Ama Uswa under false pretenses, or fraudulently misrepresented in law and in fact, and all of that. So once they start gathering all those types of ammunitions against you, then it's a problem. Okay, so the second thing is that, so the victim, as is stated in the case law, Ama Uswa is the victim. Okay, she says she provided around-the-clock care for the defendant's child. She cooked the family meals, cleaned the home, did laundry, She removed Coleman-Blackwell's shoes, cleaning between Coleman-Blackwell's toes, cleaning up the vomit and bringing her a bowl of water at meal time to wash her hands. Okay, so wow. So, well, we were having a discussion. I mean, I've been having a discussion with, a number of people concerning this, and what some of them have really interesting perspectives. And one of them is that, there are other nationalities that do these types of things. Okay, like, of course, the Indians, the Asians, the Hispanics, they do these things a lot. They have, their mothers come in or family members come in and then act as nannies or whatever. But that's where you have to be very careful and draw the line, because, of course, depending on who you are, to whom much is given, much is expected. So that's why sometimes the law, the hand of the law is very heavy, because they sometimes expect something different from certain people in society. Okay, so yeah, be careful. With the B2 visa also, you cannot come in and then start working. That's unauthorized employment. But I understand that there's a very thin line between, what is a nanny job, and then, our culture as Ghanaians to serve. When you come on a visit and visit a family member, they have children, or, they have family members. At what point is it, is it work? And at what point is it just, just being a good family member and just helping out with a chores? So yes, let's be mindful of those types of things. Let's talk a little bit about the law under which the Colemans were prosecuted. Let me see if I can find that. I pulled that up right before I started, but as usual, my screen is full of laws and statutes, so it's been swallowed up. Don't worry, I'll pull it up right here again. It was a victim. Yes, Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act 2000. So the interesting thing about this is that apparently the Colemans were the first people to be prosecuted under this act. It had just been, let me pull it up again right here. Yes, the law had just been introduced. It had just been, yeah. So that's it. Yes, it's the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act of 2000. Quite unfortunate that they were the first people to test the efficacy of this law. And if the charges are just really crazy, conspiring to smuggle a woman from Ghana into the United States to work as an unpaid domestic servant and nanny for their child. Okay. Okay, guys, drop me your comments. Let me know, if you have questions, what you think. Yeah, it was stated that yes, they did fraudulently obtain the American visa, and they submitted a visa application with false information and made a false representation to an official at the U.S. Embassy in Accra. Yeah. The other parts of the issues were, where they kept her passport. All of these are against even the A3 visa. With the A3 visa, the statute, the relevant statute, the Foreign Affairs Manual specifically states that once the contract is drawn up for you as an A3 person, you're supposed to make sure that your passport is with you at all times. Your contract is with you, and you're following all the terms stipulated in the contract, guys. So this is a chat, so you guys, let's get interactive with this, and let's just talk about it. Nothing too rigorous, let's just chat about it. So I made some posts on Twitter also trying to explain the dynamics of all these things. The first lesson is that make sure you speak with a U.S. licensed immigration attorney before you embark on any type of, U.S. related travel. So has she spoken to a U.S. attorney? I mean, immigration attorney. She may have understood some of the implications of what she was going to do. But the truth of the matter is that many people actually breach these laws and rules and actually go scot-free. So I can understand why some people may think, oh yes, nothing will go wrong, and everything, I could get away with it. But yeah, there are always these risks involved if you are going to violate U.S. immigration code. And actually in the victims and trafficking law, it says that if you violate the labor law as well as the immigration code, then you will be liable. So that's where some of the issues came from. Okay. And then, tomorrow we're going to be talking some more about the type of petition that also have filed. My suspicion is it might have been either a T visa or a U visa. I read a story that made me think it could have been a U visa, but I'm not sure what they actually petitioned for. It doesn't state. I mean, it's not stated here in the case, so I won't be able to. We'll take a closer look at that tomorrow, or during the week, sometime during the week. Okay. So, guys, yeah, that's it. I mean, it's really, really a very sad story. So the other thing was that she was apparently arrested. Barbara was arrested immediately. She got, the police heard about the issue of the forced labor and harboring an illegal alien for financial gain and hiding her passport. She was sentenced for 5 years and 3 months. And, for apparently from the time she was arrested, she never saw her home, from what the obituary stated. And then after doing, serving her sentence, she was deported back to Ghana. And that's the other thing that guys try to, of course, if you qualify for U.S. citizenship, just try to file for U.S. citizenship, because once you're a U.S. citizen, you will not be deported for, committing a federal crime, a federal felony? I'm not sure what it was characterized as. But essentially, it was because she was a green card holder that she was deported. Okay. If you're a U.S. citizen, denaturalization processes are, a little tough. So normally they have to be related. There are very, very specific grounds under which you will be denaturalized, and you go through a full-blown trial, because it's, of course, it's depriving somebody of their life, liberty, property. It's your, it's citizenship is inherent. So kind of like it becomes you. So if they want to strip it away, they go through a lot of processes. So had she been a U.S. citizen, then she would not have been deported, okay, because she would be one of their own. Okay, let me see. What other thing do we have here? Yeah, so I think, wow. Yeah, the sad part, she never saw her house again from the day she was arrested. Barbara, she was arrested from detention, then she went to court, then she went to jail for 5 years, then straight to the airport in Ghana with only the clothes she had on her back. This is from the Twitter page. Oh my goodness. This is very, very incredibly sad, incredibly devastating. I mean, the U.S. immigration, the American dream. This isn't how we want our American dream to turn out. So guys, that's why I keep telling you, whatever move you are making, you just make sure you are speaking with your attorney. It seems very simple until things go crashing down, or, things turn upside down in your face and your whole life is messed up. U.S. immigration laws, don't joke with them. And I mean, it just clearly shows. It just really clearly shows they take their laws very, very seriously. And you'll think you're getting away with things until, you know, you realize that they are just piling the ammunition against you just to, get you right with your hand stuck in the jam. And then you know that yes, you're in a big, big jam. Okay, so whatever move you're making, whatever application you're filing, whoever you're going to bring, speak with your attorney. I've been getting cases, this is an aside, but I've been getting, I've been consulting with clients who, so far I've had women who are U.S. citizens, and then they brought their men from Ghana, and then the men get their 10-year green card, and then they run away. Okay, this is very heartbreaking, and sometimes the writings are on the wall. Speaking with your U.S. licensed immigration attorney will help you to understand some of the issues and what you are doing and what they mean, because after the person has got the 10-year green card, this is also an aside. I mean, I'm diverting a little bit. After the person has got their 10-year green card, there isn't too much you can do against the person, in terms of marriage. So there's just a whole lot of things to be mindful of, especially if you're not in your own home country, where here the laws are extremely strict, very, very, very rigorous, and you guys know they don't play. They simply don't play with their laws. So most likely she came on an A3 visa, and it unfortunately was seemed to have flouted. Well, it looked as though they painted it as though she didn't deliberately flout those rules. She was made to flout the terms of her visa, which is why she eventually obtained a green card from the process. Yeah, and even on the Department of State's website, interesting enough, they have discussed involuntary servitude of domestic workers to be a severe form of trafficking in persons and a serious criminal offense. Okay, and they are saying victims of involuntary servitude are offered protection under the TVPA. Wow. Yeah. So this is even considered under the A3, where they don't want people to be taken advantage of. If you are bringing somebody on an on any type of on an A3 visa, like a domestic worker, they take their labor laws very seriously. And here they've defined what involuntary servitude means. They said it includes a condition of servitude induced by means of any scheme, plan, or pattern intended to cause a person to believe that if the person did not enter into or continue in such condition, that person or another person would suffer serious harm or physical restraints, or the abuse or threatened abuse of the legal process. Okay, so I mean, from this, the case law also talked about the fact that when Amma, the house help cousin or auntie, you're not sure whether she was an auntie or a cousin, when she talked about the fact that she wanted to be paid, they threatened her with deportation, imprisonment in Ghana, and all of that. So those are things that the U.S. government also took pretty seriously. So it's a really unfortunate story. We just really came to have this chat with you guys today about this very, very sad story where your American dream turns into an American nightmare. And it honestly could happen to many, many people, because sometimes you may actually breach laws without, you may violate statutes or violate laws without knowing. So just be very mindful of your steps. Where it becomes a deliberate attempt to actually flout or violate laws, then there'll be a problem. But of course, again, always consult with your attorney and then stay out of trouble. One thing I've heard from people is that if you want to be successful, have 3 people very close. Keep 3 people close. Your lawyer, your doctor, and then your financial advisor. Okay. So keep them very close and dear to your heart, and you will avoid lots of trouble. All right, guys. I hope you guys found this video helpful. As usual, I represent clients all around the US and handle all types of US immigration matters. Call me on 802-7800-564 and I will be happy to assist you. I'll see you guys later. We'll chat some more about this. Probably tomorrow or Wednesday. Well, during the week. I have a crazy busy week, so I can't promise anything yet. But please take care and be safe until I see you again. Bye-bye.